Our greatest problems in life are not ignorance problems, they are preference problems. And that means our greatest need is not merely new information. Our greatest need is being given new preferences, new desires, new loves, as John Piper explained from Romans chapter 1 in a 2015 sermon. Here's how he explained it.
Having set up why we're existing, namely we exist to know and experience and enjoy and reflect the value, the glory, the beauty of God back to Him, He now makes the connection with sex. Isn't that remarkable? 4 times. This is unmistakable and amazing. 4 times He makes the connection between the distortion of the relationship vertically and the darkness there with the distortion of the sexual relationship horizontally and the darkness there. So let's see these 4 times where Paul does this. Number 1, the connection between verse 23 and 24. They exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images. Verse 24, therefore, that's a very important word. Therefore, God gave them up to the lusts of their hearts, to impurity, to the dishonoring of their bodies among themselves. So the exchange vertically, verse 23, they exchange the glory of God, results in God handing them over to horizontal, dishonorable passions of the body in lust. So where does lust come from? Where does the brokenness of our God-given, beautiful sexual reality come from? Where does that brokenness come from? It comes from the brokenness of exchange. Here it is again, the connection between verse 24 and 25. God gave them up to the lusts of their hearts, to impurity, to the dishonoring of their bodies among themselves. And here comes the other important word besides therefore. Because. Why did He do that? Why did God hand us over to this mess, this brokenness? Because they exchanged the truth about God for a lie. Another exchange. Same exchange. The truth about God, the glory about God, for a lie. And worshiped and served the creature, that's us, rather than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. So he says the cause, don't miss the word because there, the cause of lust and impurity and the dishonoring of the body is the embrace of a lie about God. The darkness of creation is owing to the darkness as we look at the Creator. We believe we are more valuable than God. Our friends are more valuable to us than God is to us. And sexual pleasure is more valuable to God than God to us. We have exchanged Him for a lie, and God hands us over. Number 3, the connection between verses 25 and 26. They exchanged the truth about God for a lie, verse 26, for this reason. You see it? They exchanged the truth about God for a lie. For this reason, God gave them up to dishonorable passion. So 3 times so far, he has said that the cause, the reason for God handing us over to the dishonoring of our own good, God-given passions is because we traded God. And we traded His truth and we traded His glory for other things, which they are not. They're not more preferable. Here's the 4th one. The relationship between the 2 halves of verse 28. Since, very important word, and since they did not, now the ESV says here, see fit to acknowledge. I don't know what your version says. Here's my literal translation of dokimazo. Here's the way I would translate it. since they did not approve, that's the usual translation of dokimazo, they did not approve of having God in their knowledge. That's a literal translation. See fit to acknowledge God, that's okay, but I think you feel the horror of it if you say they did not approve of having God in their knowledge. So the picture is, back in verse 18, they know God and they suppress truth. So God is approaching them in manifold ways, and we consider that enough to be accountable. We know, and we disapprove. I don't want you in here. I don't want you in my head. I don't want you in my heart. I disapprove of having you in my knowledge. This is where atheism comes from. It's where skepticism comes from. It's not at first an ignorance problem. Nobody's main problem is an ignorance problem. Everybody's main problem is a preference problem. I don't want you in my head. I don't want you in my heart. I don't want you to be supremely valuable. I will not have a God in my life who is supremely valuable. I just won't. That's the meaning of the first half of verse 28. Since they did not see fit to acknowledge or did not approve, I don't approve of having God in my knowledge, therefore God gave them up to a debased mind to do what ought not to be done. So 4 times, it just could not be clearer, repetitively clearer, that the root issue of our horizontal distortions, homosexual and heterosexual, are rooted in, the root of it is this exchange. I don't want you in here. And if he's not in here, everything is going wrong in the world.
That is so good. And then, of course, explained Piper, there's a positive side here too in covenant marriage. You can hear the whole message in a series titled Living in the Light with Money, Sex, and Power, a 4-part series, 3 messages and 1 Q&A. And this clip was taken from the second message, and they're all on the site, desiringgod.org. Those messages became the new book, Living in the Light, Money, Sex, and Power, a nice little hardcover available now on Amazon and downloadable free of charge at desiringgod.org/books. I'm your host, Tony Reinke. Thanks for listening to the Ask Pastor John podcast with author and longtime pastor John Piper. We'll see you tomorrow.